Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be ranking all the survivors in Left 4 Dead from least to best. We're going to be going over what makes them fun, what makes them enjoyable, what makes them overall good characters, and we're just going to be ranking them, in my humble opinion, from least to best. If you guys end up enjoying today's video and you guys do want to see some more Left 4 Dead 2 or just more ranking videos in the future, definitely please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, you guys really killed it on the last one, so if we can once again try to end up hitting somewhere around 4 likes, that would be greatly appreciated since you guys really loved the last ranking video where we ranked all the special infected, or if you guys haven't seen that, definitely go check that out. But yeah guys, let's begin with ranking all the survivors in both Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2. Alrighty, so coming in at the least popular spot in terms of the least favorite Left 4 Dead crew members, this is going to end up being Rochelle. Rochelle, for me, honestly, and a lot of others, including you guys as well, we can all probably unanimously agree that Rochelle is the least fun character in all of the Left 4 Dead series. I mean, there is only 8 to choose from, but Rochelle, I feel like unanimously, if you were to put a poll out there, a lot of people would rank Rochelle at the lowest because of 2 main reasons. Number one, she has literally no story going for her compared to any of the other 7, and also as well, she's boring. Even if she does have a story, this remaining story that she currently has had over the last 10 years is just boring as hell. We know that she is a reporter, we know that she basically ended up doing news broadcasting stuff back when the apocalypse was just getting started, and she did end up doing news reports when, like, the virus started happening with, like, all the different places such as CETA and, you know, the military. But that's really pretty much all we know about her. Otherwise, she's just kind of like that mom figure in the group, and the thing is that's not really badass or fun to play as. You want to play as somebody like Bill or Francis, you know, some of these big, badass, bulky dudes. But then you get somebody like Rochelle, and women can be badass, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that women aren't badass. In fact, you're going to understand why I'm ranking Rochelle so low, but Zoe higher up on the list, because obviously we all like Zoe. But Rochelle, she just plays like a mom vibe, and I don't think anyone really likes to play a zombie apocalypse game with a mom character, even though she's not, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, Rochelle is just one of those characters that I'm kind of indifferent about, and I'm pretty sure a lot of others are as well. Alrighty, so now going on to the number, technically 7 spot, but this is ranking the second to least worst, and this is going to be Lewis. So with Lewis isn't exactly bad per se. Rochelle is really honestly the only bad character on this list, but the characters had to go somewhere, so I had to put Lewis here just because Lewis doesn't really have anything going for him in terms of that fun, badass, and enjoyable character vibe like a lot of other characters do. Like, for example, Ellis, he's funny. Bill, he's badass. You know, Francis, he's just kind of a smartass. You know, all these other characters are very enjoyable and likable, and the thing is that Lewis is just that drug addict that just steals your pills and says pills here. So, Lewis is not really that enjoyable. He's annoying, he's kind of whiny, he's bitchy, and he's overall not really that enjoyable of a character, and he's more of a meme more than anything. So, Lewis is just okay, but he is, like I said, just kind of like whiny and bitchy, and I could kind of just go without him. The only thing he's got going for him is that we can make fun of him, essentially. But, yeah, so I had to put Lewis there. Now let's move on to the next. So this is actually going to be, in my opinion, my second least favorite of the Left 4 Dead 2 crew. And this is going to end up being Nick. So with Nick is a interesting character. And he almost is on par with Smartass, but he's not quite Smartass. He's more of just an ass. See, the funny thing is that let's take somebody that's very similar to Nick, such as Francis. Francis and Nick are very awfully similar in terms of how they act, how they behave, and just kind of that asshole mentality. But the thing is, though, is that Francis portrays it a lot more well than Nick does. Francis is just an asshole, but he's a funny asshole. Nick is just an asshole. He's not funny at all. He's just kind of more like just an ass. So the only laugh I can get out of Nick is just being like, oh, ha ha ha, you know, he's just being an idiot. Francis has actually got funny one-liners, such as his jokes about how he hates everything. Like, it's just more memeable and jokey that way. Francis is not taken nearly as seriously as Nick. Nick is just kind of uptight about everything. But I will admit, Nick has had his moments. In fact, one of my favorite things from the whole Left 4 Dead series was when Nick did his quote in the intro where he's like, "I have not come this far to die now," which is one of my favorite video games quotes of all time. It's probably my favorite in the Left 4 Dead universe. And Nick can be badass in his own ways, and he is kind of like cool in a sense. I can see where the whole entire con artist, almost kind of like dickhead vibe goes with, and some people like that, but I just can't get around it. I don't like Nick in that way. I'd rather just have Nick try to be more natural about it, but the thing is, though, is unfortunately his natural state is almost at the same time feeling forced. So in that turn, I just never really liked Nick. Nick is kind of my least favorite other than Rochelle. The only reason why I like Nick more is just because Nick has more going for him than Rochelle ever did. Rochelle's just kind of just there. Alrighty, so now going on to the next spot, this is funnily enough going to be Francis, who we just talked about. Francis is just a better version of Nick, in my opinion. Francis is kind of like that ass mentality, but instead of being a asshole or just an ass, he is more of a, kind of like a funnier, like, oh, just a smart asshole type of guy. He's just like, he memes around and he still definitely has that ass mentality. And I've probably said ass like several times, I apologize. But it's true, that's the best adjective I can use to describe him. He's not a dick, he's not annoying, he's not whiny, he's not bitchy, he's not mean, he's not a bad guy, he just trolls. He just screws around, he just says whatever he feels like, and he just kind of just messes around. But the thing is, I can tell he's being jokey, and I can respect that, because Francis is more of like a actual nice guy than Nick is, even though they both have had their moments. Because there is moments where Francis has had, moments where he's cared. And if you've read the Left 4 Dead last comic book they made, which was about the sacrifice, I almost said The Last Stand, but the comic about the sacrifice, that the storyline-wise going into the backstories of all the characters, Francis kind of is that bad, stereotypical bad boy guy, but he portrays it very, very well. Leather jacket, guns, really, honestly, at this point, the only thing he's missing is a pair of, machine guns that he can end up having strapped to his giant steed on a horse and just riding into battle. He could be that type of, war veteran type of guy, and he could honestly take a lot after Bill, but unfortunately, he's just more of that stereotypical biker, badass persona, which I can respect, but it's just okay. I like a good old badass, but there's some characters that portray it better, which we'll get on more with the list. So after Francis, we're going for a little bit more of another direction, but still definitely badass in their own regard, and this is going to end up being Coach. Coach is really, really good at having a fine balance between funny, likable, and badass all at the exact same time. If you haven't caught on, basically we're ranking these not only by opinion or just kind of personal bias, but at the same time, the way I'm looking at it is I'm also ranking them based off of how cool they are, how funny they are, and what really their story is, or if there just is any of their story at all. And the thing is, though, is with Coach, he does all three of these extremely, extremely well. Not necessarily all of them are perfect, though. He's kind of a jack of all trades where they're all good, but not one really excels the other, so he's just kind of average at everything, or a little bit above average, I would say. He's got that nice, kind, likable personality where he gets along with the characters very well, but he can also end up having funny moments where he talks about, going to Whispering Oaks and, interacting with Ellis, and end up, singing at the final stage of Dark Carnival. But he also have had his badass moments where he destroys crap, like in the intro where he destroys that jockey and the other zombies. He basically has a fine balance, and that's really all he's got going for him, though. He's kind of a little bit of everything, but doesn't really excel at one particular thing. So that is going to be Coach for you. And now we're going to be moving on to our next set of characters. And my next character, this is going to be my personal favorite character in the whole entire series, other than another character which will be later on this list. But for Left 4 Dead 2, this is specifically my favorite. I'll get into my Left 4 Dead 1 in a moment. But for one of my favorite characters of this whole entire series, this is going to end up being Ellis. I really enjoy Ellis because Ellis is just funny and likable as hell. He doesn't necessarily have the badass vibe at a giant scale like Bill or Francis does, but he makes up for it with his personality and his humor. Ellis is extremely likable because of how lighthearted he is. He doesn't have a indifference to the apocalypse. He obviously still cares, and he can end up putting up a fight, but he makes it funny along the way, you know, telling stories about his friend Keith and keeping it lighthearted, keeping high hopes up, willing to end up helping everybody, just kind of like almost forgetting about the zombie apocalypse for a while, but when there is something that, you know, like shit hits the fan, he will end up actually becoming his inner badass, and he'll end up destroying things like the tank or the witch, and who doesn't like a good old hillbilly? Like, we all love Ellis secretly near and dear to our hearts, and he's probably the most likable Left 4 Dead character in my opinion, other than Coach. Alrighty, now moving on to the number 2 spot. This is going to be my favorite Left 4 Dead 1 character, and I'm pretty sure it's for you guys as well, and this is going to be Zoe. So the reason why Zoe is up here and not, let's say, Ellis, is because Zoe has more of a developed story than pretty much any of the other Left 4 Dead crew. Because, once again, if you've read the comic, you know her backstory, and Zoe is basically a person that was sucked into the zombie apocalypse against her will. Yes, I know this has happened to everybody, but some of the other characters, they fit more of it, and it's like it was expected for them to end up having something like this alongside happen to them. But the thing is that Zoe was one of those characters that you think wouldn't have a pair of balls to be in a zombie apocalypse, but no, trust me, she does. She's got that sweet, likable, college girl personality, and can be very, very nice, and that's why she gets along well with, like, people like, for example, Ellis. But at the exact same time, she does have her inner badass going for her when she ends up wanting to take out the special infected and destroying crap, and that's in her way, you know, pulling out a shotgun and just proceeding to pump lead into a tank. That is very, very cool to me, and I really like that. Rochelle doesn't have that going for her, unfortunately. Rochelle is just kind of, like, panicky, like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, emergency, emergency, emergency. Zoe just doesn't just give an F, and she just flat out will lay lead into that tank. Or she'll destroy the witch, or she'll just destroy any of the other infected if she needs to. And Zoe, that's one of the reasons why I like her. She's likable, and she also ends up having the badassery. But she, unfortunately, even though she does have humor, she doesn't really have too much of that going for her. But she does make up for it with her other traits. Not everyone's going to end up having every single trait that I'd like, which is humor, likability, and badassery. I mean, really, that's only, like, Coach, honestly. But they all end up doing certain aspects well, and that's what makes them in the spots that they are. And now going in at number 1, even though I don't particularly like playing as him, he still is a really awesome character, and you gotta respect him. And this is going to end up being Bill. Bill, the original OG, the face of Left 4 Dead, in my opinion. Left 4 Dead 1 ended up having the original crew, and if you didn't pick Zoe, you know, to have the fun, likable, you know, college girl, if you didn't pick Francis, the stereotypical badass biker dude, if you didn't pick the memeable, funny black guy Lewis, you ended up picking the veteran, the tough as nails, the classic good old snarky old man Bill. Bill is really, really enjoyable because I mean, personally, I'm a little bit biased because I end up enjoying cringe humor or, like, casual dad joke humor as much as I enjoy dark humor. Yes, I know, a very weird breed of in-between humor. But I like Bill's, like, sass because it's that stereotypical dad humor, but when it's aged like a fine wine, it's like, it's almost like you take the teenage, you know, college student level guy, like, sexual jokes and insults, and you merge it with the classic dad wit, and then you end up getting into the old man stage, which is where Bill is at, where he's got the perfect balance of that. Bill is overall just a cool character, very fun, very likable, and his humor is subtle like a fine wine. I really do enjoy myself some good old Bill every now and again while I'm playing in my games if I can't play Zoe or something. But yeah, guys, so that's pretty much my list in summary. So in summary, we ended up having it be Rochelle. Then after Rochelle, we ended up having it be Lewis. Then after Lewis, we ended up having it be Nick. Then after Nick, we ended up having it be Francis. Then after Francis, we had Coach. Then after Coach, we had Ellis. Then after Ellis, we had Zoe. And then after Zoe, we indeed had Bill. So that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I do hope you ended up enjoying. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what Left 4 Dead ranking video you would like to see next. I truly hope you guys end up having a wonderful day, and I hope you guys enjoyed another YouTube video from the most unique YouTuber you guys will ever see. Peace out, guys.